Today this speech focuses on pointing out the major difference and striking resemblance between the two famous ship sinking, the Titanic and the Costa Concordia, including the circumstances of the sinkings, crews and passengers' actions, and also, finally, the results of the incidents. So, firstly, I'll introduce you more about the background of the two ships sinking. On the morning of April 10th, 1912, the Titanic set sail from England and later found lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean 4 days later. On the evening of January 13 in 2012, the Costa Concordia set sail from Italy, and a day later, the ship lied partially sunk off the Italy's coast. There are certainly many similarities that people, through newspapers, televisions, and the internet point out between both ships. Firstly, both the Titanic and Costa Concordia were enormous, and they both made the ship of their times. In her days, the Titanic was the largest ship with the length of 882 feet long with 9 decks. The Concordia was a little larger than the Titanic. It was 951 feet long with 13 decks. So both ships were luxury ships where they had pools, restaurants, a variety of activities and places for passengers to relax and enjoy their time on board. Well, as each ship was sinking, there were different acts of courage and also acts of cowardice. For example, a number of men on Titanic ship gave up their seats in the lifeboats to women and children, while under the rule on Titanic as it was sinking was women and children first. There was a man dressed up as a woman so he could get into a lifeboat and save himself instead. While the Costa Concordia was sinking, the passengers were helping each other, and despite that, the ship's captain left his ship before all were evacuated from the incident, and he refused to go back to his ship when an Italian Coast Guard ordered him to do so. So both ships shared the same reason of sinking, was that both struck something underwater. So the first difference between them is the fates of the two captains. Although Titanic's captain went down with his ship, the captain of the Concordia, as I said, left his ship and survived. The ships were in different eras and types of voyage. The Titanic was a transatlantic ocean liner that provided transportation across the Atlantic Ocean, while the Costa Concordia was a cruise ship which provided vacation tours around the Mediterranean Sea. The Titanic and the Concordia had different ways of sinking. The Titanic sank in the deep, cold ocean water, but the Concordia fortunately sank in much warmer, shallower water near the coast and came to rest on its side with much of the ship above the water. So although they shared the same reason of sinking, the Titanic specifically struck in an iceberg, while the Costa Concordia struck rocks near an island off the Italy's coast. But perhaps the greatest difference that the counts of lives lost on each ship. In the Titanic accident, more than 1,500 people died either drowning or frozen to death in the icy North Atlantic water, and luckily, more than 700 people survived. And when the Concordia sank, 32 people lost their lives, 2 remain missing, and almost 4,200 people survived the disaster. The reason that led to the enormous count of lives lost in the Titanic accident was that the ship only carried about the half of the numbers of lifeboats that needed for all passengers, and most of the lifeboats weren't even full when they left the Titanic. Many people never had the chance to be saved. But in spite of that, the Concordia was lying on its side and the Concordia had extra lifeboats with room for more 22% people than the ship could hold, but as it was lying on its side, many of the lifeboats couldn't be lowered into the water. A strange thing that a Swiss tourist survived the Costa Concordia reported that the song "My Heart Will Go On" in the movie Titanic was playing in the dining room when the crash happened. So, in conclusion, whenever people travel on ships, trains, or planes, the possibility of disasters is always present. The two accidents remind us that no matter how safe we are told to feel, accidents can happen at any time, and therefore, we should emphasize the importance of preparedness and following safety instructions.